go out and shit. Like, can you speak on that?
Well, yeah. So YouTube's algorithm, because I use it a good bit. That's how I'm exposed Bigo. I got to make sure I have the right tags for it. It's all SEOs, search engine optimization. You get your videos to pop up at the top, and the best way to do it is to pay with all this stuff, Instagram, influence, and all that. A lot of people pay. They really, and then what's happening is they flip it once they get their account big enough themselves. Like, say for instance, Honey, it's like, okay, it takes what I'm saying and she starts implementing it. Instead of putting beans on this app, I'm going to Instagram, send some money here, send some money there. Some people who I like their channels and they fuck with me, like, on a personal level, on a back end level, because you willing to pay them. Then her following is going to become one of those accounts that she has 100,000 followers and she getting thousands of people to comment. She then can set the prices. Like, okay, she could put for promotional uses. Hit me a DM. My DM's only for promotional uses and use only. So when people then say she can charge, she don't have to charge 200 like other people. She can charge $25 a post. She gets 5 people hit her up and say, hey, can you post this for me? Can you post this for me? I got a black business or this, that, and the third.
Yeah. What the fuck happened to this nigga? They silenced this nigga.
I passed through.
I thought you got silenced.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nah,
Yeah,
but
she passed it live.
real nigga shit,
Okay.
bro. I need this information, bro, because I be paranoid as fuck. Because I be trolling on this app, and I'm like, yo, I live a double life type shit. Are you think they trying to? You think they gonna use this information to blackmail me? Like, explain the
Well, yeah.
possibility.
Well, they would more or less blackmail somebody, try to blackmail somebody like me because I'm fucking with their money. Like, people typically do shit like that. If it's haphazard, like with the ring shit, I don't think any of the people who were hacking people's rings was personal. They just had access to this table that got leaked or passed to them, and they would just say, "Hey, try these. We want to break into people's ring accounts to see if what we can do, what will happen," and it worked for whoever they were able to get into it with. And yeah, you don't really have much to worry about on that level. You just it's just like when the iCloud gets hacked. It's a lot of times it's the famous people, the people who have the most to lose, that from a public perception standpoint, that they would need to worry about. Now, if you were running for office or some shit and you were a representative, then yeah, you're a political opponent. When they say get dirt on them, I need some dirt on this person, that's what they'll do. They'll go and look and be like, okay, are they associated with Bigo? Are they associated with this? They just need to hire a hacker and just need to know your IP address. Where are all the websites that's attached to this IP address? Oh, they
So
on
what?
Bigo? Okay. What are they doing up there?
So I wouldn't. How would they record it if it's all been done? Like, wouldn't that be long
Mm-hmm.
and gone? Like those conversations of me, shaking my butt, acting like a fool. Wouldn't that be long and gone?
Uh, not necessarily. So a lot of people record things. And even if it's not recorded, they can still, tag you and follow you and see if you do anything. Because campaigns, when people are really have vendettas against someone, they're gonna wait a while. They're gonna say, okay, we have access to this. Okay, now we just need to sit and wait for them to do something and then use it against them. Like I said, a lot of people on this app, they're in like LGBT lives, they're talking DM and sending dick pics, all that stuff, because Snapchat makes it where everything vanishes. So that's why the benefit of Snapchat, and that's why a lot of people who sell sex on this app, they want to protect themselves. They go through Snapchat because they can make everything vanish. Whereas with Bigo, you send it to them, you can't really do much about it. They've probably already saved it. I think you might can delete it if y'all part of the same thread. You might can, because it works similar to WhatsApp, because each conversation on the devices saves to the device. It
Are
don't actually
are
save
my
to an
devices
actual account.
listening to me? Is Alexa listening to me in YouTube and TikTok? Are they listening to me? Are they? Do they have a
Oh,
vendetta against me? Like, are they
well,
trying
well,
to?
no, that they don't
Are they
have
trying to
a
make
like
me?
to you per se, but it's
Yeah, I
all
feel like the
macro
algorithm is trying
information.
to. I feel like the algorithm is trying to make me into an incel. Like it's trying to make me into like I just see Andrew Tate shit and like reasons why you don't have any friends. Like they trying to like feed me information and make me feel like a piece of shit. And I used to be a
So
half boy.
when you look at things like MGTOW, Manosphere, Red Pill content, those things are tagged together. So they're not the
Yeah,
exact same thing, but they're similar enough to where it'll tie down to incel, black pill culture, and Andrew Tate. Even though he's red pill, it can funnel into black pill content, and that's something that yeah, that's part of how search engine optimization works. If you like this, you might like that, and also your conversations. When Edward Snowden, the guy who Barack Obama and all of them chased down, and he ran to Russia, they got
yeah,
Julian Assange, the guy who created WikiLeaks. But
yeah.
why did they do that to them? They told the truth. They told what was secretly going on and letting the people know how to be safe and cover the lens on your laptop. There's a picture of Mark Zuckerberg in like a library or somewhere at a coffee shop, and you see him on the computer, and his cameras are cut like he got tape over it, black tape. Peace, goddess.
Well,
Yeah, you
a
can't.
person like Mark
That's for
Zuckerberg
surveillance.
has
They know.
yeah. So ultimately, Bigo is watching us, and they're gonna sell our information to like affect, fucking um like political shit and to blackmail people.
If it turns out to, but a lot of times they want to use the information to decide an election. They for big shit. They like now if you're doing something or you making waves and they just want to knock you in particular down, yeah, they will do some deeper diving and figure out, okay, how do we get this person? That's what politicians use for their political rivals. They'll have somebody who's a programmer, hacker, find out what they're into, give me some secrets, and then we're going to blackmail them and tell them, drop out the race.
Like Biden's son.
That's what, yeah, that's the way they move. Like, and when you speak into the phones, you can say some of the craziest things, and it might not be common or popular like your phrase. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, but it's been proven several times. Your phones listen to your conversations, and the keywords you use, and say it's something weird or it's just out of the ordinary. You take something that's common, a common word or phrase, and or artists, and they say that's one person who made a mix of their music, and it's not a known mix because it just came out, but it's not a famous mix. It's something that is like YouTube, and you have to really do some deep diving. If you say it on your phone, I want to hear this Kendrick Lamar mix with um, Gregory Porter, or something like that, or 20 SYL. These are very particular terms. You'll go type in Kendrick Lamar and 20 SYL will pop up. That's very specific, and they never work with each other. Just 20 SYLs made some mixes to Kendrick Lamar, but he's not world renowned famous. You see what I'm saying? So and if you put in like 20 SYL and then Kendrick Lamar pops up after it, he's made plenty of mixes for people, but Kendrick Lamar will pop up because your phone heard you say Kendrick Lamar.
Word. All right. So should I stop using Bigo?
Uh, it's all up to you. Like it's people. I understand that this is all the way around. They're watching us and surveillance in the American people, because Bigo is great for knowing exactly where you are, learning your routine, learning who you are. That's why a lot of people don't show their faces on Bigo. They'll have little AI photos or some shit that kind of similar to them, but that's not them, because you want to be as far detached from this system as you possibly can. And they know people want to do this, and they can't make us do this. Like, the internet is a free, open highway. You can be whoever you want. So what they're doing is, okay, we're going to all sell information on the back end and make sure that there's no strong laws to penalize people for selling information, so that we will always know where you're at all times, no matter what your username is, what you
But
do. There will always be some way to track you.
why do they do that? Why do they want a cohesive like name attached to each profile? Like, what's the benefit of that?
Well, it's whether it's your real name or not. As you see now with the AI, like Walmart's instituted it, they can see who you are through facial recognition. So
Yeah,
the facial recognition software is really only supposed to be used for criminals. But you have a lot of states. I mean, this is where politics come into play. You have states like New York, Jersey, California, DC, that don't allow people to own guns like that. And they have strong rules against like open carry. You can't open carry at all. Or if you have a gun or a handgun, you need very specific reasons as to why you deserve to have a handgun. Do you own a
right.
business? Do you work in a job to where you can be robbed for the money that's on you? Like you work a security guard or something, you transport money. Why do you need to have a handgun? Instead of it being your second right amendment, they're changing it slowly because they can't change the Constitution. So they want to change the Constitution and get rid of the Second Amendment because we have the Second Amendment to protect the first, the freedom of speech. So they all want to suppress and take our freedoms, but there's a certain way they have to go about it. So in these states, if you want to get a handgun, like in Maryland, you have to have your fingerprint put in the state as well as federal database, meaning
Yeah,
that you're in the same database as those who are America's most wanted.
yeah,
And that's not fair. That's not fair. The real ID, that star you have on your license, that's they want to take that information and put it in the federal database. So they have access to everyone. Facial recognition, your fingerprint, your blood type. They want all that. And it's not for our security or whatever, because there's plenty of sick motherfuckers doing all kinds of shit. Look at all these shootings, like the one they had in New York
no,
with
I
all those
recently
black people
signed up.
being murdered. They could
I
have stopped
recently
that.
signed. I recently signed up for that real ID shit. Was that a mistake?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's they make it hard for you not to. You can't really move like in the state of North Carolina. You cannot have a driver's license if you don't pay car insurance. So that's not the federal doing this. This is the state. So the state's very broke, and the feds don't do a good enough job to keep money flowing in for the state employees. So they're kind of more or less on their own. So they instituted this to keep money in their pockets, and it's a deal with the insurance companies. So they all getting a cut and a split of this. And again, it forces us to give up more of our freedoms, not directly, but it puts us in jeopardy. Because what if their tables are hacked? If their tables are hacked, and then now that federal database is whoever's out there has the United States federal database. Every damn near every American citizen information will be in their hands. What up, man? How you doing, Box Two? But it's all some underhanded shit that we've been talking about during the Obama administration. All those secrets were coming out, and they had no answers for it. We live in a surveillance state. China, they got their surveillance state from us. All those cameras that's watching the Chinese people, that is Cisco. Cisco, we sent Cisco out there, and that's why like China and the US can have all these issues, but they won't go to war with each other directly. It has to be something else, other things around the world. That's the last thing they want to do because they both work together to sell our information. They have to work together, and Democrats are more so for it than the Republicans. But it doesn't really matter either side. They're both corrupt. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but there's a video that just came out about this is at Whole Foods. The lady got a scanner, a barcode in her finger. She got it in her hand, her palm. She basically has real ID in her skin. It's a tattoo, and she
Right.
scanned it at Whole Foods. It's going viral, and
That's
now
such
she's one of the
an
first people to do it.
Yeah, you remember that Justin Timberlake movie where like you get paid in time and it's in your
Mm.
hand. That shit was from like 2000. Yeah, this nigga just smart. Hey, what's up, number two? What you doing? What you,
That's all right. Okay. Like, what
what you
country you from? Oh, he don't tell me what
Hello,
country you're from.
how are you?
Hey, we're good, brother. Good. We just up here talking about the surveillance state we're under. The whole world is. What country are you from?
I'm from Pakistan. You from?
Oh, the United States. That's what's up.
yo,
Like
Okay, yeah.
does
people who come
Pakistan
from
like
hit countries like him. Oh, go ahead.
what did you say?
I was about to say that people who come from countries like him, like Pakistan, Iran, a lot of those Middle Eastern, Northern African countries,
Yeah,
they are they have strong laws against homosexuality, any type of alternative lifestyles. But the best way they
Yeah,
can get a kick or experience that is through places like Bigo. And think about it, like the surveillance state isn't out there in their countries like that, like it is in our countries. But
yeah.
those people, if they had surveillance states, they'd be putting so many
yeah,
men, beheading them to death and all that shit because they will have proof. You up here in these transgender lives, you up here sending dick pics, you got all these different things going on, and it will put their lives in jeopardy. That's another reason why. And again, uh huh.
Porn is illegal in their countries, so they be on here jacking off and shit. I don't know. Like number
Right.
two, what is the point of you like? Why do you like Bigo? What are you doing? You're just looking and smiling.
Oh my goodness. We don't do that
yeah,
over
yeah.
here, brother.
Yeah,
We look
but
like
this
let me see. There's a video
DVD
right here.
thing.
Let me see how I flip this. This is one of them.
Amazon thinks the future of payments will not be your face or your fingerprint, but actually your palm. So at some Whole Foods, you can now pay with your palm. It's actually super easy, and Amazon says that it's more private than if they were to use facial recognition
Yeah,
or
right.
fingerprints. You do need to register your palm, so it does like a scan, kind of like you're doing Face ID for the first time on the new iPhone, and then you pair it to whatever credit card you choose. At first, I thought it was weird, but I could totally see this being the future. Amazon
See
thinks
what I'm
the
saying?
future of payments.
No pushback. I can simply see this being the future. No, fuck this shit. We don't want that. We already got all our information, and you know what's next? Smart guns. They want to have smart guns. Have you ever played Metal Gear Solid 4?
I know Solid Snake and shit. Now,
In the fourth one, they have smart guns in that game, and you start off the game, you can't use any guns. And he's like, "How do I use these guns?" And he had to get barcoded. But once you get and I think he might they wanted him to get barcoded, but he found a way around it, and they ended up getting him some guns that wasn't like that. So basically, smart gun technology is if your guns will not work for you if you don't have the signatures, the right signatures to use it. So if say for instance you take the gun from somebody who has a smart gun and you try to fire it on them, the gun won't go. It won't pull. The triggers won't
they
pull
got
because it's going
they got
against itself. It's like a magnet going against a polarized magnet. But they take the gun back from you, they'll be able to fire it.
they got drones. They got drones with facial recognition,
Yep, that too.
so they know exactly where you are. See your face.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah. We're
I
in a
do have
surveillance state.
plans of being in politics. Like, how do I make sure all the atrocities that I've done on this app doesn't come back and bite my ass?
Well, that's the thing. You can never be too sure. I would say, I guess maybe don't be on the app or, you know what I mean? More or
Yeah,
less, because
yeah. I
because
tell,
this is another thing too.
I,
Your
I,
voice is more
I,
distinct than your fingerprint.
huh?
Your voice is more distinct than your fingerprint. Even if you're using a little software to change your voice, That don't like, you got people who use them voice disguisers and shit, and they go rob banks, and or some people. The best thing to do is when you go in the bank, the best people who rob it, they go in there, they come with a piece of paper, and they slide it under there and say, "Give me all the money, or I'm gonna start shooting or something." Because majority of banks have a policy to just give you the money. If somebody comes in there and says, "Give me $20,000," they're supposed to just give you $20,000 and see what you do. Let you walk out, because they don't want no shootout or anything. But if you talk and you speak, that's how they have you, because they have recorders everywhere. You can't run away from your voice, and it's more distinct than your fingerprint. Because even if you have something like a voice box, they can impose it. I'm sure you've seen these apps of people talking like Trump, talking like Obama, and they just talking into a program. That's how that shit is done. That shit is done with them imposing and looking through the signatures of your voice or the markers, and then they just making it bend. Because whatever you say, when you echo your voice, it has certain markers to it. If you do it high, you do it low, it doesn't matter. It has a range, and it can tell the size of your vocal folds. Your vocal folds. And then once they see that, they're like, "That's his natural voice. This is the same person who committed this crime, or this is the same person who did this."
You notice how like you know how like you ever have Siri on your phone? Use iPhone.
Yeah.
Just
So you know how like when
TV channel is
you mix
What'd you say, Box One?
when you make
Hey,
Siri
Nicole.
on your phone, it only works on your phone. Like,
Yeah.
Siri doesn't activate on anybody else's voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same technology. They want to implement and bring all this together for a police state. And this is a thing too. This is what's so scary about the Palm thing is what we're getting into. And this is what Elon Musk is working on. He got SpaceX and all this other stuff. Google Neuralink. He's working on a project called Neuralink.
I know about Neuralink. I saw the Joe Rogan podcast.
Right. Yeah. Neuralink. He's working on Neuralink, and it will basically anything that has Neuralink technology, you'll be able to control with your mind. So think about Neuralink and you being able to learn another language, learn a certain science all overnight, or just download it into your brain. Just think about the power of that, what that'll do to a regular person. Same way we call them dumb phones back in the day, and we got smartphones. You will be automatically obsolete if you don't have that on your palm. If you don't have that mark on your palm or Neuralink, you're pretty much going to be, SOL in life. You can be an engineer overnight, working on big ass projects, making $100,000s of dollars, damn near $1 million a year, all because of Neuralink. You know what I mean? Then people can be like, "Damn, I need to get a Neuralink. I need to go do this and do that." It's going to put us in a real awkward predicament in the future. We're not ready for it.
Use Chat GPT.
Yep. Chat GPT. I use that in Chat AI, which they're pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I've actually have gotten it to trick it. I've tricked it before. It's harder. They've worked on it now to make it better, because it's not supposed to help you with illegal activity, but I framed it in a sense to make it seem like I'm a police officer, or this is for research, for school purposes. I framed it in a sense of a student, and it will actually tell me. And when it did tell me how to do something that was deemed criminal or violent, it caught itself. And it said, "I probably shouldn't have said this." And it flagged it, and it lets you know it's sending it back to programmers for research, to research our conversation.
Wait, so what did you ask it to do?
It was okay. I can't remember exactly, but it was, hate speech. It might have been hate speech or crime. It's things like that. I was asking just to see if I can get it. Always a kickback. "I can't help you with this. This is blah, 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 blah." I think it was suicide. I want to say it was suicide, because it's not supposed to help you with suicide either. and I was asking it were like the common ways people commit suicide, how to prevent it. But I framed it in a sense that I was an advocate that was against suicide, and it gave me the answer. It has the answers to these questions, but it won't. It's not supposed to give it to you.
Right. Exactly.
But it flagged it and said that yeah, it's going to be sent back this conversation for research, and of course they're going to tighten it up and see what words and phrases I use and make sure that those are barred as well. Because again, it's still in the beta phase. They still that technology for its information or knowledge base. It goes back to 2021, September 2021. That's the furthest it goes back. Anything after that, Chat GPT doesn't have any knowledge of it. So what they're doing is because computers, people never thought AI could draw. AI is not fully there because why? It can't get eyes right. If you notice, you can tell something's AI from looking at the hands and the eyes. It can't get it right. Why it can't get it right? We can't get it right. When you look at video games, the hands, they can kind of move realistic. They can look realistic, but do they really flow like a real human's hands? They don't. Look at the eyes. They have the glassy eyes, the glassy stare in video games. They don't have the pupils dilating and going in and out. Somebody's on a drug. They show like a very fast, like in some cartoony kind of way, but it's not natural. The science of the physiology of the human body hasn't truly been understood for that science. They use so many people to help them out with it. That's why the most realistic games you get is when they actually put them in the suits. Those I can't remember what they call, but those suits, and they get them on their faces. And video games, 2K and Madden, a lot of Uncharted games, and you can see the facial movements and them saying those lines. They're saying those lines in those suits and have those face masks on, and it's just that's why it looks so realistic. The programmers aren't doing it, so eventually over time, this is going to be put into a bank. That's why you have like Unreal Engine gets. I think they're on Unreal 5 now, so it keeps getting better and better because they're taking these information, these folders or what do they call them, modules. It's a certain term for it, but basically they have it all together and they're basically packages, putting them together and putting them into the new Unreal or the new whatever gaming engine.
Hey,
What up, Napa? Hey, Lika.
What up, man? What up, man?
Napa.
What up?
Yo.
So
Goku
we're talking about the surveillance state and AI and whatnot, and how that's taking over. So Chat GPT and all that information is going to be for super robots, because they can't. So you see the artists, they can make some nice artistic expressions. Like we go to the Wonder app and you type in, I want this picture to look like this, that, and the third. It does a good job and it's getting better.
Right.
But it can't get certain things right. And you can kind of still tell it's AI generated. But for what they're really working on is human expression to ingenuity. The computers, even Chat GPT, it can't be 100% accurate because some things it's just trying to prove an answer, but it can't double back and be like, wait a minute, this might not exist. Like they was asking, one example was that this person showed was they were asking a very specific engineer question. How does this company use their AirPod converter, such and such? And it gave a detailed answer that makes sense to the eye, but that company didn't have that technology. So what it did was other companies that had that technology, they just used that as a reference and said, this is how they do it, and blah, 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 blah. But that company in particular did not have that technology.
Yeah, it hallucinates. It kind of makes up. And the reason why it doesn't understand like how to make a hand or like eyes specifically, when it's answering the questions, it's not thinking in the way humans think, like where we have concepts of these things. It's just kind of treating everything as equal. So when it say draw a picture of a human face, it's not thinking like, okay, there should be skin, there should be eyes. No, it's thinking like images are images, and pixels usually have like this many pixels in this area in that area. So it doesn't think about like how body mechanics work and like what it's supposed to be doing or what even is an eye. It's just making what eyes look like. That's why it does
Right.
weird shit because if you like abstract what a hand is, it's just like a piece of flesh with like five other pieces of flesh coming out of it. And it doesn't even
Right.
understand what flesh is. So it's just like it's just this thing with like other little things coming out of it. So that's why it looks like tentacles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about now about human expression and motion, trying to teach AI ingenuity. If they can figure out how to teach AI ingenuity, then that's it. We're gonna be living in a real life Eagle Eye, motherfucker, RoboCop, Terminator, all that shit. Because so there's a great book called How We Think, and it shows that the human mind is way smarter than any computer. But it's if they can figure that out. Somebody had posed a question to me: what if there never was a God and this is the creation of one? Because if you can get these machines to have ingenuity, it's going to decide people's fate. It's going to decide who lives or dies. It's going to be on that brainiac shit. It's going to be the real life brainiac coming to telling us how to live because it can't think that way. It doesn't have ingenuity. But if computers, that's what they're trying to crack. That's the code to crack. But for it to understand, it must understand so many different other people's minds. And then it can create things fresh on its own and understand and fact check. It's a lot of things that people think it can never be done, but we're getting very close to see it because people didn't think AI robots were going to be looking as realistic as they did. Did y'all see the one that's breakdancing? They had one that was breakdancing.
The
Yeah, it shit look
Austin
realistic, like a real person breaking and whatnot. It's like it's interesting. It's very interesting, but they're really testing and pushing the laws of possibility. What
You
up,
know,
Sheik? Peace.
we should embrace some of these technologies though. We should be trying to develop our
Mhm.
own AIs too. I think when we say they, there is no they. There's many different entities and groups, not just white
Mhm.
people too. There's many groups all over the
That's
world,
true.
Asian, African, blacks that are developing robots and AI. What we see in them, I'm not saying any of y'all are doing this, but in Black America, we tend to say, "Oh, they are developing AI and robots that's going to take over the world." It's like, no, this information is accessible to all of us. We can all develop, like you said, Rage engines and Unreal engines and create video games and
Hmm.
artificial world. We can do that. It's just, I think Black people in America don't value science, mathematics, engineering, technology
That's
and
true.
as much as other cultures. Unfortunately, we're very
Mm.
superstitious, man. Motherfuckers want to, it's always a they. It's the ambiguous they. Like, who is they?
Yeah.
Everybody else
Well,
but
yeah, 'cause a
us.
lot of these people who are making these pushes, they are black. They're working for these companies. There are.
Yeah.
I know one guy who works for a crypto company, and he's in stocks as well as he's a programmer, and he's all telling me all about these different cryptos and how they're similar and they have chances of being better than the blockchain of Bitcoin. And now he's looking into we need to get away from these coins in a way because eventually there's just going to be a super blockchain to come and it's going to be so much better than everything that it's just going to be the standard. So people need to look more so into understanding blockchain and studying it in and of itself so they can help contribute to get to that day to where because think about how many video game consoles there were back in the day. There were so many video game consoles back in previous generations. Now there's just the PC, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. Before you had Atari, you had Nintendo, you had all these different consoles. Then it got shrunken down to what it is, and they're gonna shrink again because Xbox, Microsoft, they honestly don't want to keep making because of the PC is kind of cutting into their pay, and they had to bring in PC and accept PC fully because PC's free market, and because Xbox missed opportunities. They could have bought Android when Android was still a small company, and they still get paid a lot of money because Android's under the table. A lot of its technology is Microsoft. So, but they do it better than Microsoft ever did it. So that's why you don't see no more Microsoft phones. They lasted for maybe 1-2 phones, and they said we're in over our heads. So they have
Or
so
the
many
Zoom.
hands in
Remember
so
when
many different
Microsoft had?
pots.
Remember when they came out with their own iPod? It was called the Zoom. I remember that.
Yep. Yeah, all that stuff is calcifying. All that technology, people are buying all these patents, and it's all becoming one conglomerate. That's why Elon Musk, him buying Twitter, because Twitter has built-in analytics. Other apps, you have to really work hard to figure out what's going on with it. YouTube has YouTube Studio, but nobody, in my opinion, is better than Twitter analytics. It lets you know exactly how your engagements are going, if people shared it, how many people viewed it, and from those people who viewed it, what did they get out of it? Did they go and use some keywords similar to yours? So all this stuff has a basis for a way bigger plan that they have coming, and they really want AI to rule our society, and they think it's the best thing because they don't have to pay people, and we can in a way live off the government ourselves. Was it like iRobot? The robots are doing everything, and people just need to just sit
Yeah.
back and chill, and they got
they put that
comfortable.
in a few movies. They put that in
That was also
iRobot,
Wally.
Ready Player
Wally.
One is like that. Wally's like
That's
that.
it,
Yeah,
Wally.
Wally. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that day is coming, and like we were saying, it's going to be a culture lag. We're not
Idiocracy.
ready for the day that happens to where if you don't have your face, that barcode on your hand, you're not going to be able to really do business like that in the world. People are going to be looking at you. Why are you still fumbling around all these credit cards and debit cards? Man, if you don't get that damn palm scan, if you don't get Neuralink, you can't understand
Like the
this.
flip phone.
Man, well, such and
Like-
such learned this in a
like
day
how-
because he got Neuralink.
Like how
Get
niggas
Neuralink.
like how niggas talk and talk.
got their tap phones
Like
now.
if you
They
don't have
tap
a
the
flip
phone.
phone, that's how it is. Like, oh,
Right.
just get an Uber. I don't have to.
Right? They tap it and do all types of shit. We're gonna be left behind. We're gonna be that generation that our kids gonna be coming up and they're gonna be saying, yeah, my dad, my mom, they're old school. They don't like to, but look what happened to our parents. They got forced into it. Even though they don't know how to use and do everything on the phones like the way we do, they have to accept that you're not gonna be able to get a fucking pager, a flip phone, and that be the end of it. They should have the option. We should have that choice, but they took it away from us.
Yeah.
Time just keep moving. Time waits for nobody.
Huh?
Yeah.
I said time waits for nobody.
Yeah, that's true.
I think by
And it
2030, I think by 2030 we're gonna see automation go full swing. We got about 8 more years of like whatever we're doing right now is cool, but 2030 is gonna be just like Amazon is no longer gonna be hiring. You're gonna have to be an engineer to work at Amazon or a computer scientist.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't be just no
Why
more
you think it's
warehouse.
free?
The truck.
They're trying to teach people for free now. AWS. They're trying to get you now free to be an architect for them and go online, go to Google. We have free certifications, free classes. Learn this shit because there's going to come a day and time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to be able to get this information and you're going to be left, in the dust. You better be growing crops or something. You're going to be out there living off the land.
You better get yourself some more. Yeah. You better go get, because in a few years, Amazon is going to be UPS, all that shit going to be over with. McDonald's, Target,
right?
You're gonna be able to go to Target and just tap your hand. No more cashiers, no more stockers, no more back room. So what you need? You don't need none of that. No more HR because the robots is doing it now. So you don't need HR no more. So
I'm not sure if y'all remember this. Do y'all remember? This is probably about 4 or 5 years ago. They were doing tests with it. Volkswagen was the first company, I believe, to agree for it, but with the smart technology on your car. And basically Amazon, if you weren't home and you really want your package secured, you could get them to put it in your trunk of your car. Put it in your car. You can get them to now they've been talking about, because you know they already got drones delivering packages and whatnot, getting them to put it in your house, like, because they got the Ring cameras. Everybody got Ring nowadays, and everybody wants to move to finger scanning, palm scanning for their homes. Once that gets checked off, then they be, because they want to. They've been talking about it, allowing people to leave packages in their house. Just think about that. We would never leave our door opens for a regular motherfucker, but Amazon coming like, oh yeah, they're gonna leave it in my house. I told them to put it on my bed.
You never get in the car of a stranger, but Uber comes out and says, "Hey, get in my car."
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
they chase it all
It's people
the
actually lose their lives over that shit.
Man.
Yeah. Or you wouldn't just let a random person deliver your food, or have to touch your food and all that shit. Uber Eats, Grubhub, they be doing shit like
That shit is wild. Like, all that stuff is gonna calcify because companies are buying companies, other conglomerates. Because think about it, companies get so expensive, they have so many patents. Only people who can buy them are other rich people. So we can't afford them. So of course, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and all these other people are gonna be buying all these other companies up. It just makes sense. And when they do
Let me
that,
ask you
they
something.
like, this is what we're gonna do.
Let me ask you something. Are you going to take those $2,000 checks, $2,000 a month checks when they start passing them out by the end of the decade?
What do you mean? Like,
basically what I'm asking.
oh,
Are
it's
you
about
going
when
to
we
take
all
it?
sitting at home.
Yeah. Are you? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. It may not be
Oh yeah,
$2,000. It may not be
yeah.
2,000, but are you going to take that UBI when they start passing it out? Or are you going to try to be like, nah, I'm gonna
Well,
opt out?
oh, well, that's the thing. They're gonna make it to where you can't. Like the old boy from the World Economic Organization said. He said that you will own nothing and you will be happy. You will be
Right.
content with owning and having nothing.
I
And
heard that. Yeah.
it's coming. It's coming. Like, people gotta understand that these people, they want to displace us because we've ran out of use. Like, you can do things way faster. When the Industrial Revolution happened, before, what was the Industrial Revolution? When it came about, they were using slave labor. So the Industrial
that. And then they got the
Revolution was
cotton
like,
gin.
damn, this is way more profitable. Let's just move these people over here and have them work diligently in this respect. Now it's got to a point where machines do it way better than a human can.
But let
So
me
that's
ask you
going to
though,
lead to more joblessness.
what's the downfall of UBI though? What's the downfall of that? I guess Wally, right? We all be fat sitting in a chair and shit. Like, what's the
Well,
downside of
the
this
thing
thing?
of it is, the downside is that human beings, because capitalism, they still gonna want to run things and want people to work to earn,
Eat.
to gain these products, to be consumers. We're still gonna be consumers, but people will lose their will to work and to be productive citizens.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Why is finessing culture? Everybody wants to be an influencer. The reason why all that's picking up is because we're losing our value within our own societies. There's not enough jobs, and the jobs that are out here, they're not paying people a livable wage. So it's like we're screwed a little bit, and the system, they're not doing anything about it. For one, cell phones should have never been costing $1,000. They should have never got to that level of being $1,000. But they did it because the contracts, they couldn't beat Cricket, Track Phone, Boost, and Metro for not having those contracts. Because what did they do? You come in, you be like, you qualify for an upgrade. You want to get an upgrade? Go ahead and pick out a phone. And you be like, nah, I want to stick with this one. I just came in here for this one little question or whatever. Signed this phone up for my little cousin or whatever. That's all I wanted. So they were losing money. So it's all about money at the end of the day. And those checks, they wouldn't do that to us 100% because they're gonna want even more money. And if you fully institute that, it hurts them at the end of the day. Then they're just getting a certain percentage every month, and Nah, they gonna want even more. Capitalism is all about taking those who are less educated, those who doesn't have the opportunities, and pimping them. That's what capitalism's all about. So
Okay. Facts.
that
Facts.
they need to keep that.
It's
So
the
are you a socialist or a communist or a capitalist? Which one?
Well, I don't think that because America has socialist programs and socialist structures like WIC, food stamps, all that. That's part of socialism. Because we're not 100% democratic republic and a capitalist nation. We have some socialist ways. And if for us to get up under this debt crisis and inflation that the country is under, we will need some stints of communism. Because how can you stop these companies without communism from raising the prices of products just because they raise minimum wage? You can't do it without communism. Because in a democratic republic, you can't tell people what their prices can be. But you can say in a communist country, if you go above this threshold, we'll fine the hell out you because beans and rice and all this shit should never reach this fucking price. Communism was needed, or socialism, when it came down to these phones. The reason why they cost so much is because we're no longer doing a 2-year contracts. These phones only cost slightly a little bit more than what they did previously. But the only difference is that if you don't do these 2 to 4 year plans, they're missing out on $200 to $400 every time it's time for you to renew. So what they did was they hiked the prices up because they know people are going to hold these phones. Everybody knows, get a screen protector, get a cover for your phone. And if you do that and your phone's you're taking care of it, you don't need an upgrade. The majority of people are fine if they had to go damn 7
Yeah,
years like it's a
you could still be using
PlayStation
an iPhone 6.
with the same phone.
Yeah.
We don't really care for that. They
Yeah.
force it upon us. They
Yeah,
force us
we
to be
don't need a
consumers.
new iPhone every year. Like honestly, like you
Right.
could still be using an iPhone 6. Like and then like what is the new thing? They always say like, oh, it has a better camera. The camera's been good. Like you really can't like if I was to show you a picture from an iPhone 12, 13, this 14, like you wouldn't be able to tell the difference because that's just already HD. Like it's just and what you're gonna be doing, texting and calling people, like and being on the app, like there's nothing new they're selling, but they still have this market or this business plan. Every September, there's a new iPhone. So how are you going to get people to buy it?
You can't. You can't. People are going to rise back and just not buy. So they're going to push back and not buy. So what they're going to do is make sure we have to buy. Like for instance, do you guys play NBA 2K?
Yeah.
I'll be playing 2K like that.
Okay,
play
so
Call of
Madden's
Duty.
going to be doing the same thing. They have a battle pass now for NBA 2K 2024.
Yeah.
And a battle pass is only for free games. So why is a game that costs anywhere from $60 to $150? If you get like the limited edition, legendary edition, you get the Black Mamba package, $150 for a game, and you should have everything, right? But no, video game companies are losing money. Even the big tech companies, they're laying people off because they cost too much. It costs too much to hire Americans first and foremost. They've been said this at like a world forum. Oh shit. Event. They've been said this. American people cost too much. That's why we love immigrants. Immigrants, they are happy just to be here. They don't have ancestors in the soil, so they're not kind of uppity. They don't feel like they deserve anything. So, and they're not citizens. They get out of hand, we send them back to their country. So it's a win-win for us. We don't care so much about American people because of that. And he just laid it all out there. And then it's the truth. So what ended up happening was 2K, these people raised the prices. They have a battle pass now. So every month, $10 to $20, they're gonna be trying to charge people or ask them to pay to get some skins on fucking shit that should have been free because you paid $60 to $150 for the game as is. So that's crazy. So Video games have outpriced their value in making them. And so what we need now, we need another revolution in video games. So what happened? How did we get the first revolution? PlayStation. PlayStation came with this revolution because everything was under Nintendo. Nintendo was like Apple. Everything had to be in-house. Even Sony themselves, they originally wanted to make a console that was going to be Nintendo's. And they broke away and created PlayStation, and they had open source, and they was like, okay, we don't care how violent the game is, be very creative, help us build our base. And that's where you get the Devil May Cries, the God of Wars, you get the cool Twisted Metals, all those great games create a revolution that eventually led to Xbox coming into the game. And it led to those two competing, and Nintendo was trying to compete, but then they fell off. But when they were about to lose their company, what did they do? They said, we're going to go strictly with our base and cater to them. And they were very creative with the Wii and the Joy Cons for the Switch. So they got their own lane. But the consoles are doing good. But what about the software, the game companies, the developers of these games? They're not. That's why the best games are made by the developers. But these small passion projects, groups, or whatever, they're struggling. They can't really get off the ground. So what we need now, and what will happen, video game revolution wise, is VR, putting us actually in the game. And this goes into Neuralink. This goes into the Matrix. All these different things, plugging you into the
Yo,
game, putting you into the game.
you ever think like you know how like games are just getting mad realistic? Like I came out when like N64, like you got like the polygons of Super Mario and
Right.
Donkey Kong 64, and you look at shit now, like that was only like 15, 20 years ago, right? Like in the
Right.
next 20 years, like do you see that right now, like if you're looking at like VR and like augmented reality and all that shit, it's almost to the point where like I'll be able to tell like that shit isn't real. But if I was to show my parents like some fake VR Obama talking or some shit, like my parents would believe that shit. Or like AI
Yeah.
speech and stuff. Do you think in like the next 20 years it's gonna be indistinguishable from reality? And who's to say we aren't some AI VR of a previous civilization? Like, because we're basically making like another level of humanity. Like, who's to say like all our bones and muscles and neurons isn't like a machine itself? Like, it's just a like that's that Elon Musk saying in a simulation.
That's
Because
true.
eventually this shit gonna get so realistic that shit's gonna look fucking real.
Yeah.
Like who's to say we're not in VR already? Like life ain't VR. Because life kind of feel like a video game. You eat good, you exercise, you're gonna be healthy. You fucking eat. You need food, water, like that shit's already built like a video game. You don't want to need it.
Yeah.
It is like Grand Theft Auto, ain't it? We live in a Grand Theft Auto simulation. Shit's crazy.
That's true.
Which
That's
you gotta
exactly
think
what's
that's
going on.
amazing. I remember as a kid, I'm 32, so I was born in 91. I remember as a kid when I first started playing these games, man. I was like old Mario when it was just like one way, like you know how you just in one direction. I used to imagine
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
like, yo,
yeah.
what if you can just go out into all that extra, the background and shit? I'm like, yo, imagine one day you're gonna be able to go into that background. You can go out in there and just explore anything. And
Go
now it's
into the
like you can do
background,
that.
yeah.
Every game is
Now you can
sandbox.
actually anything you see in Red Dead Redemption 2, like I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is the best game ever made. I don't know if y'all played that,
Mm-hmm.
I never got
but
my
Yeah.
that
hands on
game,
it. No.
that game is the best, the greatest game ever fucking made. You can go anything you see in that map, you can go to it. Any mountain rock, you can go to that shit. It's like, man,
Yeah.
what if this shit is just
Think
we
about the
did this
loading
shit,
screens. Now you can go into
man,
them seamlessly. You open the door, you already there. You gotta wait for it loading.
yo.
All that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
It's
all
all running in
started
real
from
time.
it all started from that Atari game, which is kind of like single cell organisms, right? It's like
Like
I don't
ping
know if y'all
pong.
believe in evolution.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all believe in
Mm-hmm.
evolution, but I do believe in evolution. I believe that we were at one point single cell organisms. But if you look at that Atari game, that's